Doesn't really scream Texas, does it?
No. Normally you think of Texas as wide open plains and some cattle and tumbleweeds, and this is everything but. This is red rock, red mud, lots of layers, there are cactus out here, and really, really gorgeous canyon.
We have been traveling west from Florida to Utah and spent several days in Texas because, well, Texas.
Texas is a big state. Like, there's no way about it. You're going to be driving through it for days, no matter which direction you head.
But we actually ended up spending more time in Amarillo than we planned. It was going to be a couple of nights because of work, and then we found out there was plenty to do there. One of the reasons we stayed an extra day was because we wanted some time to go to what I think is a crown jewel in Amarillo, which is right near there, about 30 minutes or so away, is Palo Duro Canyon. And we went to Palo Duro Canyon with E3 Off-Road when I did the Jeeping back in November. This time we went to the other end of the canyon and went to Palo Duro Canyon State Park, and that was just an amazing experience.
You mentioned a hidden gem in Amarillo, but this is a hidden gem of Texas. Many people we have talked to have never heard of Palo Duro and the canyon, and the fact that it's a state park is quite impressive, considering it probably should be a national park, but we just won't tell anybody because we don't want anybody to go visit because we want to keep the crowds down. But it is second only to the Grand Canyon in the United States in terms of size and depth and gorgeousness. And so we spent our Easter hiking the canyon. And I think that was a great way to pay tribute to whatever higher power you believe in, because when you look at the millennia of rock formations in there, and you think back to like when the earth was created and all the things that canyon had seen, in, again, the millennia or whatever that it's been created. I don't even know. I don't remember the history on it to know how many different layers, but you see the red and the white, and then you see the yellow and the purple, and then more like red and white, and just the layers. It's so spectacular. And especially when the sun came out, because it started off pretty cloudy, and then by mid-afternoon the sun popped and those colors were just amazing.
Yeah, I think one of the references we read, like, you know, some of the layers, whatever, it was 250 million years between the layers, so it's kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, you mentioned the rain. So it started out, we got there, rain in the morning, it got beautiful, like clear blue skies, and then storms started to move in the afternoon, which is why we're sitting in the Airstream recording this and not out on the trail doing our stand-up for this video, because we cut a trail short. We were a little worried about some of the weather coming in the area. So, you know, we decided to cut that trail short. We did two different trails there. We did Rock Garden was the second trail we did. And the other one, I don't remember the name of it. It's like three different names.
It's I'm going to look it up because it has three names. It's the...
right here.
The Givens Spicer Lowry Trail.
And that was recommended to us by a ranger when we stopped in. Lighthouse Trail is very popular, where you can see the lighthouse, which is the iconic rock formation for the park that they have. But when we asked about conditions, you wanted to do the CCC Trail because the Civilian Conservation Corps played a big role in this park. She said with the rain, it was too slippery. We asked about Lighthouse, and she said that's going to be too packed. So she sent us to this Givens Spicer Lowry.
GSL Trail is what they refer to in the park.
That's why they call it GSL. And she said it's one of her favorites. And whenever a ranger, always check in with a ranger or at a visitor center, whatever you can do, see what they recommend. Where do they go out hiking? And that's what we always do. And she suggested this GSL trail. It was totally worth it. It was beautiful. We did about 3 miles in and out on that. And it was just beautiful and breathtaking in so many ways.
Pretty much all of the trails in the state park are one way, and which is different than a lot of places that do loops. And so when you're looking at the map and you're looking at distance, you have to understand that you're hiking out and back if you're going to do these trails. And so we ended up on the GSL trail deciding that we were only going to go about halfway. And that was actually at the recommendation of a person we met at the trailhead who said they were from the area and mountain bike these trails on a regular basis. And he said, basically, if you go about halfway, you can still see Lighthouse Rock out in the distance. And the scenery then becomes very much the same after that. So he was the one that suggested that we cut that one short and then go down to Rock Garden and hike all of that. And so we heeded his advice. And again, the GSL trail was amazing. And you got a really nice view from more kind of from above in the distance of Lighthouse Rock. So we never made it out to the rock itself where you can climb right up and around and see it. But I thought our vantage point was good because we could see the whole canyon. I mean, it was just, as Ari said, breathtaking. And then we went and did the Rock Garden Trail. So different. It's like it's the same canyon, but it's almost a different world. It's like, you know, like in a movie where you land on a planet and there was just these big boulders everywhere. It's why they call it Rock Garden. And it's as the rocks have fallen off the mountain, but for some reason in this particular section, they're just these huge boulders and chunks everywhere. So you literally are like climbing through and around the rocks. And we had originally intended to hike the entire trail, which takes you 600 feet from the bottom of the canyon all the way to the top of the rim, or the rim in that section. And unfortunately, as the clouds moved in and we could start seeing lightning in the distance, we decided that it was not a good idea to continue hiking to the top of the rim because it meant having to hike all the way down. And that would have been a good 5-mile loop and probably another couple hours. And we just didn't trust it. And we made a good decision because as we got to the bottom and back to our car, it started raining. And as the ranger said, you do not want to do those trails in the rain. It's going to be too slippery. So we made the right call. Unfortunately, just didn't get to the rim.
It worked out well, though. It started to rain as we got back to the van. We ended up doing the loop road. I think they said it's about a 16-mile, you kind of go out, do a loop, come back. You can drive all the way down into the canyon. It's all paved road in the state park. And then we stumbled upon the cave that we didn't even know was there. So we got out, ran across in the rain and checked out the cave, which was very cool to see as well. This park is really, I kind of think about how, and we're only barely scratching the surface when we talk about what's at the state park.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'd hold up the map here. I don't know if this will even show on the camera. Probably not. But this park is huge. And there's so many trails. So many trails.
There's so many trails. There's so many different campgrounds. You can camp at this state park, and there's different ways to camp. I kind of think of the state park as sort of a choose-your-own-adventure. What do you want to do? You want to go hiking? It's there. Mountain biking. They have some equestrian stuff. Yeah. They have different types of campgrounds you can stay at. They have the cave that you can go see. You can hike up to the rim. You can just hike through the canyon. It's again, choose-your-own-adventure. Whatever you want to do at this state park, you can do this at Palo Duro Canyon. I really enjoyed it. I hesitated. We were laughing on the trail. I'm like, do we want to do a video about this? Because I don't want everybody to flood here. Like many Texas state parks, when they get busy, is they do have a reservation system. So you might want to think about getting online and buying your tickets to get in. Your entrance fee is $8 a person. And if you don't have a Texas State Parks pass, and you might want to do that in advance, depending on the season and when you're going to be there.
As I mentioned, we were there in Easter, and they had said on their website and on their social media that was potentially going to be a bigger day. So we did get online and reserve our day pass early. However, because this is such a hidden gem, apparently there are days when you wouldn't need to necessarily, but in the busy summer times and the holidays, you're going to want to do that. Keep in mind, though, apparently the visitor center is not always open, especially if it's on a holiday. I didn't quite get the whole story, but it sounds like it's run by like a third party somehow with the state park. And so unfortunately we were there in Easter and did not get to see the visitor center, which I was mostly bummed about, not only because I couldn't get a magnet, but because it was built by the CCC. And I really wanted to see the inside of it. And it's built like into the cliff. And then like the back side of it is like hanging out over the cliff of the canyon. And it was supposed to have some kind of cool CCC type of architecture inside of it. So I was really bummed that we didn't get to go into the visitor center for that reason. But also just keep in mind, again, if you're going on certain holidays or days, to maybe call in advance to find out what's open at the park. But again, as far as the CCC was concerned, there's a number of buildings that are still there that they constructed. Like I said, the visitor center, some of the picnic tables, the pavilions. There's a whole bunch of what they call cabins, but they're little stone huts that you can now reserve and stay in. So those are there. The only thing left of the actual CCC camp where the boys stayed while they worked there is the chimney that was part of the recreation or the dining hall. And we've found that many places that when they have picked up and abandoned and burned down their camps, because that's what they used to do, the chimneys are always left standing. And that's just a weird testament that we see a lot of places. But the CCC trail, if you hike it, supposedly has 4 stone bridges that were constructed by the camps. And again, didn't get to see those because we didn't get to hike it. So if somebody else has been there, let me know. I'd be curious to know what that trail was like. I think it was a really good day, and there's a lot of history behind this park too. So hopefully if you get there, and you can go to the visitor center, they said there's displays on the history of the geological formations, as well as the people who lived in the canyon over the various, thousands and thousands of years.
Well, and I mentioned earlier sort of a choose your own adventure. And I think because of the variety of trails that's there is something for everybody. So there's very short trails, there's some much longer trails, some are easy, some are moderate, some are difficult. I mean, there's a variety of things to see and do. And I think no matter what trail you hike in this canyon, you're going to see something cool. And again, we always say be prepared. So, I mean, even though it wasn't super hot, we took plenty of water and hats and sunscreen. Oh, yeah. There's plenty of warnings if you go when it is a warmer season. That's something you're going to want to be plenty prepared for because of the distance and things like rock garden. I mean, some of those elevations are pretty good when you're climbing up.
Oh, yeah.
Rock garden, so you're going to tire yourself pretty easy. But, take a look at Palo Duro Canyon State Park. Get to the Amarillo area. There was actually a lot more there, even from when I was there in November. You and I did a little more research and figured out there's even more to do in Amarillo. Yeah. It's a really neat area. There's a lot of cool things to see and do. And if you get a chance, get to Amarillo, get to Palo Duro Canyon State Park and enjoy your time there as much as you can.
I agree that Amarillo was great. And whether you're going there to check out the Route 66 stuff, if you're going there to check out some of the old historic homes in downtown Amarillo, if you're going to Palo Duro, they do have a nice concert series in the summertime in the state park down in the amphitheater. So we're a little bit too early for that, but I heard that that's a really cool experience. So make sure you check out Amarillo. I really enjoyed it. All I really know about it is, the George Strait country song, and now I've actually been there, and it's a really cool place. It's really windy though. Be prepared. It's really windy in Amarillo.
Well, Corey, is it the Weather Channel has declared that Amarillo is the windiest city in America?
I don't know, pretty close. If not, I would attest to that. It was very, very windy, except for in the canyon. Not in the canyon, but everywhere else in Amarillo.
Yep. Once you get down in the canyon, it's you lose the wind and you lose your cell signal. Something else to be aware of. Once you're in that canyon, you're not going to be, which maybe is a huge bonus for a lot of people. It was for us for a while. We're like, hey, no signal, nobody can get a hold of us. So we had a really good time. We think you would have a good time in the Amarillo area, checking out Palo Duro Canyon State Park, or just maybe check out Maris Adventure Park. We know the folks that own that. They do a great job there. So if you get a chance, go see them. If you want to get down and do some jeeping in the canyon, and they allow that. They also have some hiking there. They're setting up camping there as well now. So that's going to be a great experience. Check it out if you can. In the meantime, keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there.